Back when I was 17, my friend told me about this deep web drug website called Dream Market. It was where he bought things like weed and Adderall. He had what he referred to as a trusted dealer whose information he sent me to buy from. I don't condone doing anything like this. I was simply just young and stupid. I thought buying Adderall would help me with my senior projects anyway. I went about doing that. However, this purchase made me intrigued to continue browsing Dream Market and seeing what else one could buy, and I saw this range from counterfeit bills to real guns. This got me more intrigued to view more of the deep web. I found some link somewhere on Dream Market that led to, I guess, what was a drug chat room, because it was just a lot of people seemingly advertising the drugs they were selling and their rates. I found it interesting. Some people would post random .onion links, and I clicked on one. It brought me to a black page with the title Home Base at top in large text. Underneath were a bunch of other random links. I clicked on a bunch of them. Most never loaded, probably being dead links. A couple loaded. One was another chat room. This one didn't have a title. There were like 3 usernames signed into the room, all random looking, just like the assortment of random letters I inputted just because I didn't care. The chat's previous history showed a few people were talking in another language, then another guy was typing in English. That guy was still in the chat room, and actually, before I typed anything, he typed yo directed at me. I typed yo back. He said, "What you looking for?" I typed back, "I don't know, lol." He asked how I found that link, and I told him just from some site called Homebase. I asked if he had any cool links, as it was my first time on the deep web. He types back lol, then sent a link. He didn't say anything else. I clicked the link and it took a little while to load the page. It loaded the black background first, then a little text box near the bottom, and the last thing that loaded was a video. At first I thought it was like a pausable video, but it looked to be some kind of live streaming video. The video was black and white, and it was of a dark room with some mannequin-looking thing sitting in a wooden chair. There was this grainy effect to the footage that made it feel more surreal and unnerving. I genuinely couldn't tell if I was watching a live video or not, then as if it were some kind of movie jump scare. What I thought was a mannequin in that chair suddenly jumped up and sprinted towards the camera, and a loud staticky screaming sound accompanied it. The apparent porcelain mask that the person was wearing was so close up on the camera at that point that all I could see was black. I went back to the chat and asked that guy what the hell this was. He replied, "Just keep watching lol," and then he left the chat. I went back to the other TED, and the video or live stream window was gone. It was now just a blank screen with the text box on the bottom. The text box didn't let me type anything, though. My browser window suddenly closed without my doing. Then a deep raspy voice was coming from my speakers. It was someone obviously trying to disguise their voice. The voice said my first name and claimed they had all my files. Then the webcam window popped up and I saw my face on the screen. I turned off my laptop and went to the Geek Squad at Best Buy, where I bought the computer. The guy I spoke to, his guest was that he was able to somehow get the basic info off my computer, like my account name. He recommended I factory reset the computer. Helped me with the process. I didn't have anything I was worried about losing on there anyway. It was a relatively new computer. If you're ever on the deep web, I heavily recommend using some kind of VPN, even for the alleged safe websites. Music. I'm 24 years old and I'm from a small town called Yarmouth in Nova Scotia, Canada. I keep my social circle very small, just my few friends and my co-workers really. I mentioned that as a point in saying I don't really know anyone who would bout to get me in any way. I browse Reddit a lot in my free time. I'm an active poster. There was this one night when I pulled up Reddit on my browser out of boredom that I had a new message. Not unusual, as I'd have people messaging me in reference to my posts. Quite often it was a message request from some random account, a now deleted username. The message said, "Check your email, your spam folder." Specifically, I replied back, "Huh? Why? Who's this?" In the meantime, I opened up my Gmail and went to the spam folder. There was one email that stuck out from the rest, titled in all caps, "I know who you are." I opened the email and it was basically a paragraph full of my personal information, including my full name, my Reddit password, my home address, along with threats. Basically, whoever sent the email was asking for a one-time payment of $5,000 through Bitcoin to a specific Bitcoin wallet address. My heart was basically in my throat. I had that terrible feeling of helplessness and like the entire world was collapsing in on meth. First thing I did was cover my webcam with a piece of tape. Secondly, I went back to Reddit to see if the user ever answered my message. They did not. I went to report the account on Reddit as quick as I could, as if that would even do anything, though. I replied to the email copy-pasting the exact message I sent to the Reddit account, asking who this was, how they got that information, and if this was a prank. I got an email back around 5 minutes later in all capitals, saying, "No, it's not a prank. We have all your information, inkling where you live, so your best course of action is to do as we say and you'll never hear from us again." Obviously, I was not going to shell out $5,000. I don't even make a lot of money to begin with. I contacted all of my friends, asking if it was any of them, like begging them to just come forward now before I call the police. None of them admitted to it, so given that I threatened calling the police, I knew it wasn't any of them. I tried to think of anyone at work who might have issues with me, but really I jit along with everyone at work. I chalked it up to my password somehow. being stolen by malware or a hacker, and through that they somehow got the rest of my information. The main question was, do I pay the money? And that was absolutely not happening. I forced myself to go to sleep and left my laptop off the hole. Next day I used my desktop instead after getting home from work. I didn't sign into Reddit or anything, though I did however change my password on all other websites and apps on my phone. I finally signed into my laptop late that night because I was just so bored and curious but nervous to see if anything had changed and if I'd gotten any new emails. I signed on and everything on my computer still looked normal, so I went to Reddit and saw the user who messaged me was now deleted, so I went to a subreddit which talked about computer hackers and scams and such, and I posted my experience. At some point I noticed the taskbar at the bottom of the screen turned darker. Curious, I minimized all my windows, and my desktop wallpaper was different. I knew right away what it was, though. I recognized the outside of my bedroom window. The white frame of the outside windowsill was in the picture. The flash of the camera also caught me laying in my bed sleeping. Some seconds later a pop-up window appeared, along with the Windows error sound inside. The pop-up error window was a message saying the word pay with a winking face following it. I closed my laptop screen and forced the computer off by holding the power button. He also pulled my blinds down and called my parents. It was still early enough to do so. I told my dad over the phone that some hacker had my info, and he came right over with his truck to help me load any valuables I could think of into his truck to stay with them for a while before we drove off from my apartment. My dad yelled like a madman into the night sky, basically threatening whoever was hacking me. It was definitely a scene, but I was too preoccupied with worry to be embarrassed by it. I stayed with my parents for weeks and used my mum's computer. When needed, I blocked that email address that sent me the original email. I finally got back to my apartment a few days ago. I'm still scared every night to hear a knock at my window or get another threatening email. I haven't brought it to the police yet, as I'm hoping it's all just a bluff. Still, to get me to pay, I'm also hoping it's over and that they've given up music. My name is Miranda. I'm 25. I've had my share of experiences with stalkers and men harassing me. Social media has made that far too easy these days. I once got a suspicious email that I should have known better than to open. It was asking me to click a link to some random page. Because I was being sued by some random company, I clicked the link, and soon after that my computer started acting all glitchy and unresponsive. Even after restarting it multiple times, it was just laggy and slow, and random sound effects would play. Once in a while I was certain my computer had a virus, but I wasn't sure to what extent it would go just yet. The next day I had a bunch of friends texting me, "What's up with that Instagram post?" and asking if I was the one who even posted it. I panicked and opened Instagram, but I was logged out of my account. Someone was hacking me. This confirmed it. If they had my Instagram password, I had no idea what else they could have. Apparently, the picture posted on my Instagram was some stupid cartoon meme. It was extremely embarrassing. Minutes of freaking out later, my Snapchat started blowing up. It was from some random account that just added me. They were spamming me to Snapchat call them, so I did. When they picked up, I saw like a quarter of someone's face. It looked like a young guy in his 20s. I could tell he was smiling. That